Okay, as usual, we're going to start from one pasuk from Mishlei, and then we are going to go to Rav Wolbe's teachings on Shalom Bayit. So we are on first perek of Mishlei, pasuk. Where are we? Kaf bet 22. Ad matai petaim te'ahavu peti. It's translated, how long, O simpletons, will you love folly? Right. Veletzim latzon chamdu lahem, uchzilim yisneu da'at. And then Shlomo HaMelech says, and scoffers covet mockery for themselves, and fools hate knowledge. Right? So here, Shlomo HaMelech is talking about three different categories: Peta'im, Letzim, and Ksilim. Peta'im, Letzim, and Ksilim, three different categories. The Gaon tells us that, since Mishlei, as we have learned already, the main theme of Mishlei is how to combat Yetzer Hara. This is what Shlomo HaMelech b'Chokhmato is teaching us. And we know that the only remedy for Yetzer Hara is Torah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm the one who created Yetzer Hara, and Barati Torah Tavlin. Torah is the only Tavlin, the only remedy for Yetzer Hara. So that's why Shlomo HaMelech says here, these categories that Shlomo HaMelech talks about, all of them, it's reasons that people find not to learn Torah. So Gaon says that the three groups represents the three main reasons that people do not study Torah. The simpletons, right, which is the first category, the Peta'im, right? Why don't they learn Torah? So because they have been enticed by the evil impulse to abandon Torah in favor of worldly pleasure. This is the good old Yetzer Hara. Bikari, choose the petty just goes after the simple Yetzer Hara. Doesn't want to learn Torah. They believe that this will always be right, the true good. Then you have the second category. This is the Peta'im. Then the second category, right, that people, why they don't learn Torah. So, Ad matai peta'im te'ahavu peti veletzim latzon chamdu lahem. Scoffers, یعنی کسی که چیز مسخره میکنن. Right? Everything. هر چیز رو باید مسخره میگیرن. So scoffers neglect Torah because of their love for devarim betelim. Idle talk, jokes, stories, gossip, irony, and the whole gamut of useless and harmful talk, which comes under the heading of scoffing and mockery, right? That they just joke around, they don't take anything seriously. That's their pleasure. So this is so against them, Shlomo HaMelech says, right? Veletzim latzon chamdu lahem. And then we come to the third category, which is full resist the diligence needed to study Torah properly. So when you're talking about Kesilim yisneu da'at. Kesilim, they don't want it for anything that has depth. They are very superficial. That's why they are called Kesil. Right? So it's translated, fools resist the diligence needed to study Torah properly. Because studying Torah, it's a science that needs to be learned diligently. It's not just like, stories, etc., etc. Anybody who has learned Gemara, you see that's where the toiling of the Gemara of learning is. It takes, it takes depth. It takes, concentration. So Gaon says this is the third category that it's too difficult for me, right? The Ksilim yisneu da'at. So the Gaon says fools resist the diligence needed to study Torah properly. They want Torah knowledge to be bestowed upon them spontaneously without any effort on their part. They want to be spoon-fed. They don't want to themselves toil in Torah. So when they see that they are not becoming instant Torah scholars, they abandon their study because they will fail to appreciate the sweetness of learning. So at any rate, these are all, Shalom Bayit tells us, all kinds of excuses that why people don't go after the remedy that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem has created. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Barati Yetzer Hara, Barati La Torah Tavlin. And obviously this Yetzer Hara comes in, also when we're talking about Shalom Bayit, as we know very, very clearly that really the concepts of love and marriage that Torah has, it's totally different than what the outside world, right, views how a family life is supposed to be, to be conducted, right? It's very interesting. I was just thinking. The Torah says, "Lo tov hiyot adam levado, e'aseh lo ezer kenegdo." Right? The Torah says, before Hashem created Chava, it says, "Lo tov hiyot adam levado." That Adam is not good for him to be by himself. He doesn't have tov. So that's why a wife, a spouse, is called tov. Right? E'aseh lo ezer kenegdo. That's why it says, "Matzah isha matzah tov." But you see, it's very interesting. Like, we have a concept of hakarat hatov. Hakarat hatov, which means appreciation, it's really more than anything, it's in the context of marriage. Maybe that's the reason why Hashem calls it tov. Why Hashem says, Matzah, the Navi says, Matzah isha matzah tov, but the Torah says, right, Lo tov heyot adam levado. When a person is by himself, there's no tov. Right, and Isha, it's called Matzah Isha Matzah Tov. Right, because we need, in Torah. We were talking about this Shabbat. That every parasha of the Torah, there is not one parasha that the Torah doesn't talk about the midah of hakarat hatov, of appreciation. Because we have said so many times we are called Yehudim because of that. Yehudi, right? Why out of the 12 tribes we are called Yehudim? Because the root of Yehudi is Todah. Todah is appreciation. And the appreciation is, right, when we find the word Yehuda in the Torah is when Leah Imenu, right, she had her fourth son. So then she said, Hapam Odet Hashem. I have to thank Hashem because He gave me more than what I deserve. Because, each one of the mothers, the matriarchs, were supposed to have 3 tribes. 4 times 3, 12. She got 4. So she said, I got more than what I deserve. I should have just gotten 3. Hashem gave me more than what I deserve. So that's why she called him Yehuda. So Sharim says, and so if we are called Yehudim, Yehudi is somebody that at any given moment, his feeling is that Hashem gives me more than what I deserve. Like Yehuda. So you see this, and this is hakarat hatov, this appreciation. It's called hakarat hatov. You have to look for it. Hakir. More than anything, it's in married life. That's why it says Matzah isha matzah tov. And you see, it goes both ways. It's not just for husbands towards wives. It's also wives towards husbands. Of seeing, having that sense of appreciation for, nobody does for us more than our spouses. More than husband for wife or wife for husband. Right? It's a constant giving daily and day out. Right? Husbands going to work, even ladies, even if they don't work, just at home, taking care of everything. This is, and we need, a Jew is somebody who has hakarat hatov. A person who doesn't have hakarat hatov, right? It's not called Jewish even. We know that's the reason why Hashem, next week's part, 2 weeks, Korach was punished too severely because of lack of hakarat hatov, right? So in a marriage, that is, it's everything. That sense of, I think, if people, in any relationship, if both spouses, they would have this sense of hakarat hatov, I don't think a divorce would take place, right? We don't have that sense of appreciation. At any rate, so Rav Wolbe, in his teachings, he tells us, right, he brings a very interesting Gemara. Right, he says that regarding Shmuel Hanavi, right, the Navi tells us, right, there is a Gemara that says, "Harotze lahanot yanik elisha, mishenu rotze lahanot al yanik Shmuel haramati." Like somebody who's doing for the public, if he wants to get benefits, he could get like Elisha, or somebody who doesn't want, right? So al yahanek Shmuel haramati. Regarding Shmuel Hanavi, it says, "Utshuvato haramata kisham beito." That's in Navi. Utshuvato haramata, that Shmuel Hanavi would go around all Eretz Israel, and then he would come back ultimately to his city, Ramah. That's where he lived. Kisham beito. Maybe that's why now where the kever of Shmuel Hanavi is in Yerushalayim, it's called Shchunat Ramot. Ramot. So Haramata, because that was his city was Haramata. Kisham beito. There the Navi tells us because there it was his house. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan, shekol makom shehalach sham beito imo. Rabbi Yochanan says, wherever he would go, he would take all. He did not want to take from anybody anything. He was self-sufficient. So one pshat is that Ramah, that he would go back to where he lived in Ramah. Another interpretation is that Shmuel Hanavi was very self-sufficient. Whenever he would go to travel, he would serve the people. He didn't want to take from them anything. He had his own food, his own utensils. He would take a tent with him. He was totally self-sufficient. שכל מקום שהיה הולך שם, היה נושא כל כלי תשמישי בבית עמו. שלא לענות מן האחרים. Right? ביתו עמו. So, Rav Wolbe says from here we learn what is bayit. Bayit, like when you create a house, a household, we see from this Gemara the bayit has to be self-sufficient. He says, Sha'adam motze bo kol sipuko, that in the house you have to meet all your needs. Ve'eno zakuk la'acherim, you don't need anybody else. You don't need it from outside. Right. So basically, he carries this on, this concept, and he says he's saying that the first and foremost, the relationship that the husband and wife create between themselves and the household that they create, this is the most important, without having any other influences. Rav Wolbe says that when a husband and wife get married, the loyalty is first, and that's what the Torah says. First is husband and wife together. That relationship is everything. Then after that, you have another circle. It's their children. And then after the children is the rest of the family. Parents, in-laws, etc., etc. Right. So he says, it's very important whom they bring to their house. The bayit has to be self-sufficient. The injections from outside come when you want to get Torah concepts, right? Or socializing, that is really, that it's constructive and it's building. A lot of times, problems happen. Like when couples get together, other than immediate family, a lot of times, it causes problems. A lot of times, they see how other couples interact, and it creates expectations, etc. Yeah, a person has to know every relationship is unique, and comparing it's destructive. Comparing it's destructive unless it comes from a class, learning Torah and internalizing the concepts, how the relationship is supposed to have. This coming and you see what happens is when you interact with other couples, a lot of, when they come out, they act at their best. And husband or wife, each one of them, like, did you see? Did چجوری چه فلان کردین کرد. And Rabbi says that this is not constructive. A bayit has to be self-sufficient. Every couple, obviously there should not be any abuse, and it has to be the decency, kavod, respect, etc. But he says, שידעו לבחור להם ידידים וחברים שיוסיף להם בתורה. That whom we socialize with, if the couples and family people, individuals that we bring to our house, they really add to our relationship. They add. He calls it שיוסיפו להם בתורה בדעת ביראה ובמידות, right? So yes, כל זוג זקוק לחברה של זוגות. Then it's good. But a lot of times this is not the case. They invite peers, young couples, invite young couples. Right? See, we try a lot of times, to invite young couples to our house. A lot of times I try, the ones that, I say the brachad, etc. It's not easy. But you see, because then this interaction, this socializing, it's constructive, that they should see and learn and, to grow from it. But a lot of times, when you have just young couples, interact with each other, right, I think usually the damage is more than the gain. So he says that what should they do, right? That they're going to grow from that kind of interaction, and the same is true really when it comes to to in-laws, etc. Right? In-laws, unfortunately, not all in-laws follow these guidelines, right? We spoke about this, what Rabbi Yochanan Zweig says, that that mishpacha, the root of the word mishpacha, which is a family, is shifcha. Shifcha is to serve. Shifcha is maidservant. The role that in-laws have has to be only to contribute. In-laws, it's totally inappropriate if the in-laws come and they bring out the shortcomings of whether it's their their son-in-law, daughter-in-law, etc. to their children. It's mamash, it is something not any less than Nebuchadnezzar, Sancherib, the ones that destroyed Beit HaMikdash. And this is really, it's a very sore point in our community. Rabbi says, he says, "Nechkutat hakoved shel chayav u'ma'ata beito, hu mevaker chaverav, holech עם אשתו, בני הזוג ימשיכו לכבד הוריהם ולבקר אצלם." Obviously, right, a young couple need to interact with their parents, with his parents, her parents. It's obvious, right? When the Torah says, "Al ken ya'azov ish et aviv ve'et imo v'davak be'isho," it doesn't mean. When the Torah says a person should leave his parents and cling to his spouse, that's not what the Torah means. The Torah doesn't mean that when you get married, you disconnect from your parents. Over there we know. The Torah is saying that, that marriage, it's a different relationship than what we're used as children in the relationship as child to parents. Over there we are takers. Right? Here Hashem says, no. Here you're starting a new relationship, and the name of a game in this new relationship is to give, right? So he says, "Bnei hazug yamshichu lechabed horehem ulevaker etzlam." Definitely, a couple need to interact with their family, with their parents, in-laws. Aval oto kesher haduk shahaya beinehem lifnei chatuna. But when they get married, the priorities are going to change. Before marriage, obviously, a person's family, this is everything. Right? When a person gets married, first his loyalty is towards his spouse. Right? So he says that kesher, oto kesher, that close tightness that was, and you see, you hear this complaint many times. Many times, usually, it's ladies complain that for their husband still مامان جونش هنوز they didn't cut the cord. Right? نه اصلا اول میره پیش مامانش بعد میاد خونه. etc. And it's wrong. This is really wrong. Right? Really, when a person gets married, the number one, in their life has to be their spouse. And then after that, children, after that, parents, obviously. You have Kibud Av V'Em, and it's very, very, it's all there. Kibud Av V'Em equals all the mitzvot of the Torah. And definitely it's there after marriage as well. But Kibud Av V'Em it's not in terms of priorities. Right, so he says, בני הזוג ימשיכו לכבד הוריהם ולבקר אצלם, אבל אותו קשר הדוק שהיה ביניהם לפני החתונה נחלף מעתה ליחס לבבי מאופק. The מאופק means that you have to curb it a little bit. A person, it goes, the husband and the wife, both of them, they have to make sure that the entire family knows that now they are not going to be number one anymore. Their spouse is the number one. Right? I remember once, years ago, when my father was here, there was a family, they had Shalom Bayit problems, and the husband was complaining that his wife spends too much time with her parents, etc. So the husband said, if you want to live with me, you have to let go of your parents. So she came crying. My father was visiting her. My father said, listen to your husband. He said, if you have to choose, he is your husband, right? He comes first. Obviously, you have to work on it to create the relationship that, you should be able, but if it's, this is what Rav Wolbe is talking about. He says that, אבל אותו קשר הדוק, in other words, becomes like, that love, and for us, for Persian families especially, family relationships are very, very strong, and it's very good. But the priorities have to be right. That first is the spouse, and then everybody else. That's why he says, "Al ken ya'azov ish aviv ve'imo v'davak b'ishto." In other words, even though we just said that interpretation what that pasuk means, but on the simple level, when it says Ya'azov, it should be taken literally as well. Then in terms of emotions, you see, but we have to realize, men have to realize, I was reading it in a sefer, who was Harav Teherani, I think. He talks, it's a beautiful sefer on Shalom Bayit. So we're saying that, ladies, right, it's, to forge a bond and loyalty, it takes a while. But when they do it, it's very strong. So first they have their loyalty to their parents, their mother, etc. But gradually it's going to be, right, it's going to be transferred to their husband. It takes time. Men could do it much faster. For a man to cut the cord, it's much easier. For the ladies, it's more difficult, because that's the nature of the woman. Women, they are very loyal. Right? But you see, so now, till they got married, their loyalty first was their family. So now to switch that, men need to have patience. That's why you see the Torah says also, the Gemara says, that after marriage, the first regel, they should go to her parents. When the Yom Tov comes, first they should go, because she has a harder time, switching these loyalties than men. Al ken ya'azov shaviv ve'imo v'davak b'ishto. That's why the Torah also says, Al ken ya'azov ish. It says about the man. Right? Ya'azov et aviv ve'imo v'davak b'ishto. And he should cling to his wife. That happens much faster than, for the ladies. Ladies, it's going to take some more time. על דברים שבינו לבין אשתו אין הבן מדבר עם הוריו. He says it's very important that it takes, intimate issues should not be discussed with anybody, not even the parents. A husband, right, should not discuss intimate things, with his mother, and also the wife, right. For instance, like when she's going to mikveh, etc. This is nobody else's business, right? That intimacy is everything. So he says, "Al devarim shebeino leven ishto ein haben medaber im horav." The husband should not discuss, right, his wife's behavior, etc., with his parents. They have issues, let them resolve it among themselves, or to go to a rav, or to a good therapist, etc. But it's not, to mingle the in-laws, it's a big mistake. Why? Because they're not objective, right? And it's going to create it's destructive. If both of them decide to get to ask advice from the in-laws, then it's perfectly okay. But he says, Al devarim shebeino leven ishto ein haben medaberim horav. And v'kasher horav motchim bikoret al ishto, and when his parents criticize his wife, hu omed letzida belishum istaigut, he has to back his wife 100%. Like Obama says, we have the back of Israel. Amen. So he says, and it goes both ways. It goes both ways. It should be like, zero tolerance for any kind of lashon hara from the in-laws, right? The kasher horav mutchil, when he's, what is it, right? Isn't it? A Ben Torah husband has to say, "Mom, I love you," etc. Please, this is the last time I hear that. This is not, don't. I want you should just know the good things about my wife. I don't want to hear any criticism. Zero tolerance for criticism from in-laws. Hu omed letzida belishum istaigut. He has to back his spouse, his wife, or vice versa, without any boundaries. גם האישה תיזהר מלדבר עם הוריה על עניינים שבינו לבינה. Rabbi says, also the woman should not discuss, she has issues with her husband, not to discuss it with her parents. This is done on a regular basis, and it's destructive. It's so important that the in-laws are there just, to help, with his babysitting, this and that, to enjoy the kids and enjoy it. Not, their issues, they are the wrong people to try to resolve, because they cannot be objective. So it's the same way that he spoke about the husband, that it should be zero tolerance for any kind of negativity or criticism from his parents. He says the same thing. גם האישה תיזהר מלדבר עם הוריה על עניינים שבינו לבינה. Whatever it's between husband and wife, keep it out. אלא אם כן, בהסכמת בעלה. So he said, unless the couple themselves, right, they are agreeable. If they decide, right, that, they trust his parents or her parents, if it's really with belev shalem, then yes. But, but we need, usually it's not recommended at all. Usually it's not recommended at all because it's destructive. It doesn't help anything. כן הוא ביחס לשאר הקרובים, חברים וידידים. There are certain things that should not be, it takes away intimacy. See, it's very interesting, you see. In Bet HaMikdash, what we had, in Kodesh, we had the menorah, the shulchan, right? In Kodesh HaKodeshim, Holy of Holies, there was just the two kruvim, the two angels, shape of angels, one male, female, with a Torah. Only Kohen Gadol once a year was allowed to go in Kodesh HaKodeshim. What's the message? Exactly what we are discussing here. Intimacy, exclusivity. There are certain areas you don't discuss it with any strangers. Right? And a lot of, and I think both. I don't know what's the statistics. Who breaches this more? Wives or husbands? That we discuss things that should not be discussed with their parents or with other relatives. Usually the mothers are, mother-in-laws are the subject of this, and smart mother-in-laws, they have to guide their children and tell them that I don't talk to me about this. I just want to hear good things about your husband or your wife, right? You have issues, go to the Rav, go to this is, I'm the wrong person to give you, right, constructive, because they are not objective, right? So, כן הוא ביחס לשאר הקרובים, לחברים וידידים, יש תחום שעליו אין לדבר עם אף אחד מהם, ואין לקבל עצות טובות מדודים ודודות. Also not to get like good advice as ameo chaleo. These are the wrong people. Unless there are some individuals that both the husband and wife, both of them, trust that individual, then it's something else. It's like a Rav, or it's like a therapist. והוא הדברים שבינו לבינה. ובכל ענייני הבית ששניהם סידרו בעיניהם, אם זקוקים לעצה, if they need advice, יפנו אל מי שמוחזק כבעל עצה בעניינים האלה. Right? You always have there are certain rabbanim, and it's not all rabbanim, there are certain rabbanim that they have good, this is their specialty. Right? Or certain individuals that they are known in the community to be good ba'alei etza, to be good advisors. Just this week, I spent a few hours with a certain doctor. He's very good. Right? Together we were working on a case of Shalom Bayit. There are individuals that, Baruch Hashem, they are themselves, they have worked on their marriage, and they know what works, what doesn't work, and they are the ones that should be consulted, but not relatives, and they should not mix in. זהו דבר שמקשר מאוד בני הזוג זה אל זה. And you see, keeping those secrets, those areas, that intimacy, this is something that creates the love, right? You see, part of creating that love between husband and wife is the intimacy. Intimacy, it's also, it's information, it's certain things. This is their lingo. This is their, their very, very private thing, exactly like in Kodesh HaKodeshim, that exclusivity, that nobody is in that domain. So שלא יגלו מענייניהם ומשותפים לאחר. Right, so this is that, those, I know so many cases, like, mother-in-laws, like, is she pregnant, she's not pregnant, what's happening, this, that, even that, right? They should not, if the couple want to discuss it, it's one thing, right? I mean, big zarim kimut hasafan, it's, in Ezrat Nashim we have a lot of stories, like, ladies, don't want to come to shul because of all these ladies fuzzy syndrome, like chalach lezavaj kadi hamadanisti child, and they don't realize they could murder people. They don't realize, like, people are that are trying to get pregnant and they can't, whatever, etc. It's almost unat devarim, it's lashon hara, rechilut, you name it, right? And unfortunately, in our community, this fuzzy syndrome, what I call it, fuzzy syndrome, it's a biggie. It's a biggie. And you see, it needs, these are, that we need to, as couples, as in-laws, if I think if that, I know in other cases it was like, the mother, they lived nearby, and the mother-in-law would know when she goes to mikveh. It's this going to mikveh has to be a top. Nobody else should know. Nobody else should know other than husband and wife. And so it sometimes makes it very difficult logistically, etc. Right? But it has to be. They have to work. Also when even the children, right? They should not know, because this is part of that intimacy. So there are different gimmicks of how to do. Like okay, she's going to go shopping, etc. And the father has to make sure he's home, etc. But it's that nobody should know, not the children, and obviously not the in-laws, etc., etc. And see, putting pressure on couples also starts having kids, etc. It's another area, right? If they are not, if they are asked, right, then they could give advice. Otherwise, keep it to yourself. None of your business, right? It's not. It's destructive, and it's a lot of Shalom Bayit problems that happen because of in-laws. Right? It's not. That's why they say. What is the difference? You go to post office. You have these signs wanted, right? So what's the difference between in-laws and outlaws? Outlaws are wanted. In-laws are not. Right? Outlaws are what and that's why they say the Chatan and Kala. So we say under the chuppah we say Kesamechacha Yitzircha began Eden Mikeder, the same way that you made Adam and Chava the happiest couple on planet Earth. You should also make our Chatan and Kala the same. So what was the happiness? Because there were no in-laws. Adam and Chava, they didn't have in-laws. So that's what made it Gan Eden. Unfortunately, why? Because of these issues that we are discussing. And you see, it's very important also, on Shabbat we're talking about it. Pirkei Avot says, Aseh lecha rav, ukneh lecha chaver. Right? Because a lot of times, we cannot be good judges, right, to ourselves. Why? Because, right, we are too close to ourselves. That's why we do need that outside injection. We need, that's why the Pirkei Avot says, Aseh lecha rav, because a lot of times we misinterpret, our feelings even. Right? We say one thing and we mean something else. Right? So that's why Pirkei Avot, the Tana, emphasizes that what? It says, Keneh lecha rav. Now that is Aseh lecha rav, ukneh lecha chaver. Right? You need to have an outside person, somebody that really, you trust their judgment and you trust their love to you, that caring for you, that they should be able to tell you. Adam, a person, halacha says, if there was a Kohen that he knew the Hilchot Tzarat more than anybody else, better than anybody else, he couldn't paskin for himself. He had to go to another Kohen. Because Ein Adam Ro'eh Nigei Atzmo. The person does not see his own faults. He doesn't. That's why you need either a Rav or a good friend. Right? That's why it says, Pirkei Avot, right? Aseh lecha rav, ukneh lecha chaver, and then it says what? It says v'heved kol adam lekaf zechut. Because a lot of times, with friendship and also rabbanim, a lot of times we find faults in them, and we stop following. Right? Rabbi Sachar says, could have your Talmid made a simcha and you couldn't make it. That's it. Oh, he doesn't care about me. That's it. That's why Pirkei Avot says, Aseh lecha rav ukneh lecha chaver, and the way to do it is Heved dan et kol adam lekaf zechut. Give people the benefit of doubts. Obviously, there is much more to say about the whole dynamics with in-laws, outlaws, whatever, when it comes to Shalom Bayit. But let's, Bezrat Hashem will continue in 2 weeks. Okay?